Hi, this is Alexander Marquez, and on today's video, I want to talk to you about two destructive enemies that keep people down. Over the years, I have developed a passion for studying human beings, human interaction, and human nature. It has just become a passion of mine to study these concepts because I think it's very important for us to gain an understanding of other people around us if we want to create success, especially in business. It really helps to understand human nature. And what I have found is that the following two concepts that I'm going to cover here are what keep people down. Not the only factors, but are two vital factors that keep people down. And the first one is called justification. What does justification mean? Well, you'll see justification in practice. For example, when I watch debates, I like to watch online debates. I have found that when I and this is, I think, is one of the secrets that has allowed me to learn a lot of new concepts over the last few years, is when I watch debates between very intelligent individuals. They both have opposite, very extreme opposite viewpoints. So we can conclude that if they're both making contra contradictory statements, then they can't both be right. One has to be right, and the other one has to obviously be wrong. I mean, obviously, it's not always a debate. It doesn't always come down to being this simple. Sometimes they could be discussing a topic that doesn't necessarily have a right or wrong answer. But if they're debating a topic that's one has to be right and one has to be wrong. Well, in this case, a lot of times when you start hearing a debate, it becomes absolutely clear that one side has all the facts, has all the logic, has everything that supports them. The one side has everything supported them, so the audience senses who is right. When you're watching this debate, you clearly see, okay, this person is just making emotional arguments, and this person is making logical arguments. Well, the problem with these debates is that, for the most part, almost in all cases, the person that is wrong will not admit in real time that they're wrong. Instead, they fall victims to justification. Instead of admitting they're wrong, they justify why they will remain with their position. And this is what human beings do that prevents them from achieving the kind of growth that is possible to reach the next level of success. It's very destructive to fall victims to justification. When you make a mistake, don't try to justify why you believe that you're not willing to change. For example, if you get into some kind of argument with somebody as you go through your daily life, don't try to justify why perhaps you were rude to that person. Try to admit that it was wrong to be rude to that individual. Even if that other person was rude to you, you admit by admitting where you went wrong, you're taking personal responsibility, and this allows you to become a better person. But if you're always justifying, well, I did this because of that, it's not going to allow you to achieve the growth that is possible. And that is the problem with our current culture, is this victim culture, where someone else is to blame for what goes wrong in their lives. They refuse to take personal responsibility. They want to justify themselves rather than admit their mistakes and grow from their mistakes. You cannot grow from your mistakes if you continue to justify your actions. Stop doing it. Admit you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's through being wrong that we achieve superior growth. So justification must be eliminated if we're going to reach the next level of success. And the second great enemy that I have discovered that's also very destructive and you constantly see it in action, if you observe interactions between human beings, is the need to be right. That is why one of the a famous psychologist that I've watched in the past, every time he sits down with couples, well, maybe not every time, but a lot of times when he sits down with couples that are having some kind of conflict, he asks them this important question, and it's a very profound question. Even though it sounds simple, it's very profound. He asks them this question: do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? This is a powerful question. When we examine this question deeply, we see its amazing power. Because this is what happens. People get into heated arguments. For example, when we're talking about this example, a marriage, people get into heated arguments where both people just demand to be right. And you see, the problem is that this is not how reality works. If two people are demanding to be right, we can pretty much guarantee that they're both not right. One has to be wrong and one has to be right. But the problem is that human pride takes over human relationships, and people just will not give in. They just demand to be right. And when you have two people demanding to be right, this is what creates conflict. This is what creates an explosion. It destroys relationships because people just have to be right. And unless we're dealing with life or death situations, unless we're dealing with moral or ethical issues, unless we're dealing with macro issues that affect the destiny of the human race, that affect our planet, there is absolutely nothing to gain from being right when we're talking about everyday trivial issues. And yet people will just go through their life demanding to be right on issues that are completely unimportant when we examine the big picture. For example, I'm talking about really trivial things, insignificant things. Like someone thinks a movie's great and someone else thinks it's horrible. So they get into heated arguments as to who is right. And these arguments, a lot of times, these trivial arguments, if they continue, if a pattern is developed, this is what leads to the marriages going bad, friendships being lost, because people just want to be right on such stupid, insignificant little things. And when you develop this habit, it's just not fun to be around you when you always demand to be right. So what I discovered is, even when you're right, lose the argument. Just let the other person, understanding that their pride is controlling them, be the bigger person. Let them win even when you know you're right. Do not demand to always be right. It's okay. You're going to survive not being right. When it comes to politics, when it comes to social opinions, when it comes to the everyday trivial things we face, it's not a life or death situation. So just go ahead and let the other person feel they're right, because you see, I am concerned with being successful, with being a successful business person. And if you're going to succeed in business, you have to become magnetic. And you're not going to become magnetic if you always demand to be right. People are just not going to want to be around you because you're going to be really hard to deal with. You see, when you lose, you win. When you win, you lose. And what this means is that when you get into an argument with somebody and you win, you embarrass them in front of other people. Yes, you will feel good about yourself because of your pride, but at the end of the day, you hurt that other person's ego. You embarrass them in front of people, and you're going to have an enemy for life. If you intentionally lose and you let the other person keep their pride and feel like they won, You did not create an enemy, and now you're able to achieve your bigger goals, which is to influence that other person in a more effective way. But it's not going to happen if you demand to be right and you let your ego and your pride control you. So these two concepts, they're very destructive. And I'm telling you, if you want to achieve inner growth, if you want to change, outer growth can only happen through inner growth. So you have to get rid of these two enemies if you want to achieve overall success in your life. This is Alexander Marquez. I want to challenge you to visit my blog at alexandermarquez.net. Click on the two links that are below this video if you're watching on YouTube. The first link takes you to my blog. The second link takes you to my free ebooks and newsletter that are going to show you how to design the life you want. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you on my next video. Take care.